Before the scroll unfurls, before the flame flickers, there was a silence, a breath held between worlds. The doors to the tavern opened, and a shaft of sunlight brightened up a small path. 5 figures moved inside, blinded momentarily as they stepped into the relative darkness, barely registering the staleness of the enclosed area. Black Bat's Tavern was their go-to. It was where they went to commiserate, celebrate, or just to drink away a few coppers. Their entrance barely made a stir among the other patrons, the flash of outside light only making them cover their eyes. They settled at a table, talking excitedly amongst themselves. Stegful interrupted himself to shout for ale and stew for the table. This was a coup for them, Dorian was expositing. A broker had reached out to them, proof that their legend was spreading. Yes, this was all going the way that it should. He locked his fingers together behind his head and leaned back, an almost feral smile on his face as he surveyed his little troop. Even the new girl seemed to be a bit more animated than normal. As soon as this gig paid out, she'd be as much his as the others. The stew and ale arrived and was served without enthusiasm or gentleness. No one seemed to mind much as they dug in, though, pausing their chatter long enough to swallow their food and drink. All they had to do was find one little shard, and they were set. They would be legends. Everything that they had been building towards would finally come to fruition. They talked deep into the night, drinking ale, making plans. As they headed towards their rooms, Dorian reminded Vezran to refresh the illusions on their gear first thing in the morning. They needed to look their best as they headed out of town. Vezran gave him a weary nod and got his components lined up and ready. He didn't really need reminding, but Dorian liked that little added ego boost that it gave him. Morning came and the team woke up. There were a few headaches shared between them. Vezran was already up, finishing the last of the illusions on their gear. Dorian gave his work a quick once-over before heading down for some breakfast stew. It was the same stew they had for dinner, but one couldn't argue with a single-meal tavern. Once they'd eaten and readied themselves, the group headed out, their gold cloaks shimmering, buckles and medals reflecting the morning light. It was still early, so there was hardly anyone in the streets as they marched to the gates. They picked up their discussion from the night before, covering all the rumors that they had picked up since getting the job. Nothing solid, nothing they could actually do anything with. But everything at this point was speculation. They had a direction, but the broker had been less than forthcoming with details. This is what they were good at, Dorian told them. This made them flexible, adaptable, and that's what made for legendary adventurers. It took them a week to find the Tower of Moving Stars. It hadn't been a very eventful trip. Vezran let the illusions fade a little as they traveled, and Dorian didn't seem to notice. They all spent some time ribbing each other good-naturedly, and even Vezran was seen to smile a few times, the perpetual exhaustion that surrounded him lifting for a little bit. They did try asking around for more information about the tower and the shard that they were after, but they didn't get anything any more solid than the rumors that they already had, if they got any info at all. The closer they got, the less anyone seemed to know about either. They camped a few hours' ride from the tower, giving them time to refresh illusions, make sure their cloaks shimmered and their mettle shone again, so that they would make the proper impression when they met the tower's defenders. Dorian gave them all the once-over. He straightened a cloak here, brushed off some dust there. He frowned, then gestured to the fighter and the rogue to move up front. There wasn't really a need, but it gave him a sense of doing something. They were already in position. Stegful and Qatar were always in front, flanking him. Vezrin behind them, and the new girl, he could never remember her name, brought up the rear. She was shorter and things fit a little looser on her than the rest, so he felt it best that she stayed tucked away behind. Dorian nodded. They were ready. The scroll fades, but the flame endures. This has been a character narration by AWDD. If you would like your character's backstory handwritten in a way that embodies your character, please visit our Etsy store, AWDD Legacies.